Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to learn about circulatory system of the prawn. In last video, yesterday uploaded video, in that video we discussed about respiratory system of the prawn. Correct? The respiratory system of the prawn contain what organ, in what way the respiration carried out in prawn, the in what way the circulation occur to the gills, and mechanism of respiration. So all these things we finished in the last class. Today we are going to discuss about a new topic, that is circulatory system of the prawn. It is important topic asked in examination. So carefully you have to observe the diagrams and flow charts and note down the points. Follow it? Right. Yes. What is the function of circulatory system? The circulatory system meant for what? Transport. No. So it is generally commented as it serves as postman and policeman. So the whatever the circulating fluid present in blood vascular system, that circulating fluid transports the various kinds of substances, material to the tissues and organs, and as well as whatever cells present in circulating fluid, they fights with invaders, pathogens. They engulfs the pathogens, invaders, and provides what? Protection. So mainly the vascular system meant for transport and as well as protection. So the prawn include well developed circulatory system. You verify this visual representation. The prominent heart is present and associated vessels are there. So it shows what? Prominent well developed circulatory system, blood vascular system. But the blood vascular system in prawn is completely different, peculiar type. Why? Because it appears partly as closed type and partly as open type. So ultimately the vascular system of prawn termed as open type of circulatory system or lacunar type of circulatory system. Very important. So the circulatory system of prawn is open type of circulatory system. It also termed as lacunar type of circulatory system. What is mean open type of circulatory system? So here in higher animals, the heart pumps the blood in blood vessels. They are arteries and veins. The arteries are distributing vessels and veins are collecting vessels. So heart pumps the blood in arteries, then arteries ends in tissue with capillaries, and then the vein starts with capillaries from where the artery ends, and the veins are collecting vessels. They empties blood in the heart. So the blood from heart never comes out in higher animals. But here the phenomena is completely different. The heart pumps the blood in arteries, so that arteries empties that blood into empty spaces, body spaces. The spaces called what? Sinuses. That's why it is called open type of circulatory system. So the blood vascular system of prawn lack veins and capillaries. Remember, it is very important. The blood vascular system of the prawn lack what? Veins and capillaries. Remember, veins and capillaries are absent. Okay, so it is a open type of circulatory system. Followed? And heart pumps the blood into empty spaces. They call what? Lacunae. Yes. Let us see The circulatory system of prawn include the organization of circulatory system we are going to discuss. You have to note down all these flow charts and must present in examination. According to flow chart, you have to present the information. So the vascular system of the prawn include these parts. They are blood and pericardium, heart, arteries, and blood lacunae and blood channels. There are no veins and capillaries associated with vascular system. So these are the components of the vascular system of the prawn. They are blood, pericardium, heart, arteries, blood lacunae, blood channels. Okay, all these things we uh, observed, we discussed all these things with the diagrams in detail. Okay, right. Let us see the first part of the vascular system, that is blood. If you observe the blood of prawn, the blood of prawn is light bluish in color. You observe this visual representation, and you have to focus on their appendages and abdominal region. The transparent chitinous plates, beneath the chitinous plate, the blood going to appear light bluish in color. Alright, so actually the deoxygenated blood is colorless. So the deoxygenated, when the blood picks up oxygen, so the oxygenated blood appear light bluish in color, but deoxygenated blood as colorless. Alright, yes, the blood of prawn lack red blood corpuscles. Okay, generally in higher animals we found the blood is red in color due to the presence of red blood corpuscles, but here in prawn the red blood corpuscles are absent. The respiratory pigment dissolved in plasma. Yes, let us see the composition of the blood of prawn. The blood of prawn include mainly two parts. They are plasma and yes, the blood of prawn include plasma and blood cells. Followed. Right. Next, the blood cells are only one variant. They are leukocytes. Followed. So you observe this flow chart. These are the components of the blood. It includes plasma, blood cells. Blood cells are only leukocyte. RBC are absent. Remember, right? Let us see about plasma. What is plasma? It is a liquid state matrix of the blood. It is colorless watery fluid, and the plasma of the blood contain respiratory pigment, that is hemocyanin. The respiratory pigment hemocyanin dissolved in plasma of the blood of prawn. Generally, in higher animals, the respiratory pigment hemoglobin, red color respiratory pigment, so that present that associated with red blood corpuscles. Inside the cell, the hemoglobin remains. But here you observe in blood of prawn, the respiratory pigment is hemocyanin, but it retained in dissolved state in plasma. Alright, so that is the difference you have to find. And next, the hemocyanin include copper ion as metallic base. In hemoglobin, the metallic base is iron, but here instead of iron, in hemocyanin, what present? Copper ion present. Follow? Due to the presence of copper ion, here the copper ion carries oxygen and carbon dioxide like same hemoglobin. So functionally the hemocyanin similar to that of hemoglobin molecule. It assists the same functions, carry oxygen and carbon dioxide as usual, but the color is different to the presence of copper when the hemocyanin oxygenated. So at that time the oxygenated hemocyanin get bluish color. That is the difference. So this is about plasma of the blood. So the plasma of the blood is colorless watery fluid, and it is a blue color respiratory pigment hemocyanin dissolved in plasma. and hemocyanin include copper ion as metallic base, and functionally it's similar to that of hemoglobin molecule, and oxygenated hemocyanin appears as bluish color. Follow? Yeah, right. Next, the another part of the blood of prawn, they are leukocytes. The leukocytes nothing but blood cells, white blood corpuscles, no RBC present in the blood of prawn. They consist only leukocytes, and they are amoeboid shaped cells and nucleated cells, remember. So they are contain prominent nucleus, amoeboid shaped cells. They are phagocytic cells. What is mean phagocytis is, so they engulfs invaders, pathogens, microbes, bacteria. That's why they mediates what protection. So they serves protection. Follow? So that is the function of leukocytes. And blood of prawn has a remarkable clotting property. Remember, it also shows clotting phenomena like a higher animal's blood. So with this we completed about composition of blood. So the parts of blood are plasma and leukocytes, and plasma include hemocyanin, and leukocytes for what purpose? Protection purpose. Follow? Right. Yes. So now the subsequent part of circulatory system, that is pericardium. So peri means over, cardium means what? Heart. You observe this visual representation carefully. The heart at center, triangular shape, and around the heart you observe the area are marked with the blue color. Alert. The area are marked with blue color. Inside the circle you have to observe. Alert. Yes, you see that is heart, and around the heart blue color are marked region, that is pericardium. So that is pericardium. Followed? Yes, what is pericardium? Peri means over, cardium means heart. The heart in prawn remained at dorsal side in thorax region, at posterior side in thoracic cavity. It retained whatever space present around the heart, that is completely filled with what? Blood. That space is called pericardium. It is also called dorsal sinus. Follow? So very important. So the what is pericardium? Pericardium is nothing but the space present around the heart that filled with blood. In the prawn, considered as pericardium, it also called as dorsal sinus. So membranous separation present at floor of the pericardium, that is horizontal septum. Followed, you observe at the base of the pericardium a separation is there, a horizontal transverse fashion, a horizontal membranous separation is present. That membranous horizontal separation present at floor of the pericardium called horizontal septum. Follow? So this is about pericardium. Follow? Right. Next, you observe this visual representation, the heart, and next the muscular triangular shape. Yes, after pericardium, now we are going to discuss another part of circulatory system, that is a heart of prawn. The heart, the heart of prawn is triangular in shape, and it is muscular and pulsatile organ. It capable to contract and relaxes. It pumps the blood like higher animals, and as well as it receives the blood. So it is a pulsatile structure. Pulsatile mean it shows what? Contraction and relaxation. Followed like higher animals heart. So it is triangular in shape and pulsatile heart. The wall include what? Muscles, and it placed in thoracic cavity at dorsal side. Here you observe in higher animals, the heart uh, remains at ventral side in case of vertebrates, but these are invertebrates. So in invertebrate, the position of heart you have to verify, that is at dorsal side. The heart remained at dorsal side. That is very important point. Right. Next, it lodges in posterior thoracic cavity. In thorax region, in thoracic cavity towards posterior side, it remained. It accommodated the apex, the conical shape of apex directed towards anterior side, and its broad base directed towards posterior side. So it is triangular in shape. In triangular shape, the cone shape apex region directed towards anterior side and broad base directed posterior side. So this is location of the heart. Let us see the morphology of the heart. Three muscular strands retain the heart in pericardium at a definite position. Remember, very important. So the muscular strands keeps the heart in a definite position. So what are they? How many they are? Three muscular strands. You verify in the visual representation. Three muscular uh, strands remains the heart in pericardium at a definite position. They are median longitudinal cardiopyloric strand. They are single, and next lateral cardio strands. They are paired. So lateral cardio strands are remained one on either side. Median longitudinal cardiopyloric strand remains along midventral line. Follow? So these three muscles articulates the heart, and they keeps the heart in definite position under pericardium. Followed? Right. Next, the morphology of heart. Let's see. The heart of prawn is triangular in shape. So it is a dorsal view. You observe the shape of the heart. It is completely triangular in shape. And next, ventral view you observe. This is ventral view of the heart. And next, the lateral view of the hearts. It conical apex towards anterior side and broad base towards posterior side. So if we observe morphology of heart, on the surface of the heart we found the minute valvular perforations. These valvular perforations called ostia. Very important. You have to observe the diagram. On the surface of the heart, openings are there, perforations are there. They are valvular perforations, not ordinary apertures. They are valvular apertures. Allows the blood flow in single direction into the heart. They prevents the backflow of the blood. So that is the function of valves. Five pairs of valvular perforations associated with the wall of the heart. Followed, you observe the arrow marks. So five pairs of valvular ostia are present, right? Next, these are slit-like apertures. What is the use of these apertures? They allows the blood flow into the heart from pericardium cavity and prevents the backward flow. Followed? So this is function of ostia. Let us discuss in detail about ostia of heart. Totally five pairs ostia are present. The first pair ostia called dorsal ostia. The second pair named as ventral ostia, and third pair named as posterior ostia, and the fourth pair named as anterolateral ostia, and fifth pair posterolateral ostia. Remember. So totally five pairs of ostia associated with wall of heart. So they have different names. The first pair dorsal ostia, second pair ventral ostia, third pair posterior ostia, and fourth pair anterolateral, fifth pair posterolateral. Followed? All these are ostia that present in the wall of the heart. They allows the blood flow into heart. Yes, let us see all these ostia location in the wall of heart in detail. So the first, this you observe, this is dorsal view of heart and ventral view of heart and lateral view of heart. Alright. So some ostia are located on dorsal surface, some ostia located on ventral surface, and some are located at a lateral surfaces. So you verify each and every ostia. The first pair is dorsal ostia. One pair dorsal ostia present on dorsal side. You observe this arrow mark. They are dorsal ostia. Followed. Right. The second pair ventral ostia. You observe ventral view of the heart, prominent green color spots are marked, so they are ventral ostia. Alright, right. Next, third pair posterior ostia present at posterior side to the heart. So you observe dorsal view diagram and back side, posterior side, one on either side, two posterior ostia are present. And the fourth pair anterolateral, you observe anterior end of the heart, one on either side, lateral wall of heart, anterior lateral ostia are present. And fifth pair you verify at posterior side, they are posterior lateral ostia. Followed? So these are the five pairs of ostia that are accommodated in the wall of the heart. Okay, followed. Next, the subsequent part that associated with the vascular system of the prawn, they are arteries. Yes, heart pumps the blood into sinuses through tubular arteries. So the heart directly open into tubular arteries. They have a thick, muscular, strong walls. Five principal arteries present in the circulatory system of the prawn. They arise from anterior end of heart and as well as posterior end of heart. From anterior end, five principal arteries arise, and from posterior end of heart, one principal artery arises. Remember, altogether six principal arteries present in the circulatory system of prawn. Very, very important. Remember, students. Totally six principal arteries are present. Among them, five arise from anterior end, one artery arise from posterior end. These are major arteries. So let us see, the anterior arteries are single median ophthalmic artery, and next one pair antennary arteries and one pair hepato pancreatic arteries. So some are in paired condition, some are in unpaired condition. The single artery is median ophthalmic. One pair antennary artery, one on either side. One pair hepato-pancreatic artery, one on either side. So these are concerned to anterior artery. The posterior artery only single. So that is median posterior artery. Followed? So these are the major arteries that associated with the vascular system. Yes, let us see all the major arteries in the diagram. So you observe carefully this diagram. This is the heart dorsal view. Let us see the anterior arteries. Five anterior arteries are there. So median ophthalmic artery. You verify this is median ophthalmic artery. And then antennary artery. These are antennary arteries. And then hepato-pancreatic arteries. You observe these are hepato-pancreatic arteries. Followed? Right. Next, the posterior artery, you see, posterior artery, the posterior artery, median posterior artery, followed, median posterior artery. This is median posterior artery, followed. So totally 5 plus 1, 6 major arteries that associated with vascular system, right? Let us discuss in detail the organization of arteries in the body of the prawn. This is very important diagram. So you have to must draw this diagram in examination. So you verify all the major arteries that associated with wall of associated with the heart of the prawn in this diagram. In detail we will discuss. So first major artery, median ophthalmic artery. You observe location of median ophthalmic artery, that is median ophthalmic artery, and you have to find out same vessel in this organization. The red color earmarked tube in front of the heart present, that is median ophthalmic artery. It is also called cephalic artery. It runs forward mid-dorsally above the esophagus. It merges with antennary artery and forms circular cephalic artery. It supplies oxygenated blood to head, cardiac, stomach and esophagus. Hello? You verify this visual representation in front of the heart. The red color median ophthalmic artery is present. This is also called cephalic artery. It runs forward along mid-dorsal line, and in front you observe it going to combine with antennary arteries and form circular ring-like vessel, that is circular cephalic artery. So this artery with its branches, it going to supply blood to head and cardiac, stomach and esophagus. Followed, right? So this is circular cephalic artery, right? Next, another vessel, major artery, antennary artery. They are paired arteries. You verify in the diagram, and in organization you have to verify it. So they are earmarked with green color tubes. Antennary artery, one pair, one on either side. They are also called left cephalic arteries. They run forward obliquely and gives off pericardial artery, one branch. You observe that is pericardial artery, and gastric artery, another branch. You observe that is gastric artery, orange color, and mandibular and ventral artery in front. So in front of the gastric artery you observe mandibular artery, blue color, and as well as ventral artery. It gave rise all these different variants of arteries. All these are branch off from the antennary artery and supplies blood to what parts? Pericardium, cardiac, stomach, mandibles and head appendages. So these are the branches of the antennary artery, and they gives off blood to different parts. They are pericardium, cardiac, stomach, mandibles and head appendages. Followed? Yes. Remaining third major artery, that is hepato-pancreatic artery. Hepato-pancreatic artery. You verify it in diagram. So these two are hepato-pancreatic arteries, one pair, one on either side. Locate them in this diagram. So these are hepato-pancreatic arteries, one on either side, and they also called hepatic arteries, and they moves downward and occupies hepatopancreas gland that associated with the digestive system, and it supplies blood to hepatopancreas. Right. Next, the last and final artery, median posterior artery. So it is present posterior side to heart, runs along the mid-dorsal line towards posterior end. So you have to locate this artery in this diagram, median posterior artery. And next, the median posterior artery runs towards abdomen, and it gives off mainly sternal artery and supraintestinal artery. You observe that is sternal artery, major vessel, and next supraintestinal artery behind it. Okay, supraintestinal artery supplies blood to midgut and hindgut, and the sternal artery is the major artery. It is a stout artery that arises from the median posterior artery. You verify that is a stout artery going to arise from median posterior artery. So it moves downward towards ventral side, and it passes along the thoracic ganglia. It passes along the aperture that present in between the thoracic ganglia, and reaches ventral side. Followed. So you verify clearly. So violet color arrow mark represents the sternal artery, stout vessel, and it going to enter into aperture that present in middle of thoracic ganglia, and then it comes out and reaches ventral side, and going to produce again, it going to branch off again two arteries. Let us see the branches of sternal artery. The sternal artery going to produce two branches. They are ventral thoracic artery and ventral abdominal artery. Three arteries gives off from sternal artery. They are ventral thoracic artery and then ventral abdominal artery. The ventral thoracic artery supplies blood to thoracic appendages and gonads, and ventral abdominal artery supplies blood to abdominal appendages and muscles that are associated with the abdomen. Okay, so this stout vessel sternal artery, and it going to supplies blood to different parts of the blood. Next part of circulatory system, blood lacunae. Lacunae are nothing but sinuses. They are also called sinuses, empty spaces. They are filled with blood. That's why the body cavity of the prawn termed as hemocoel. These blood filled open spaces present in the body of prawn, they receive blood through the arteries, and the body cavity termed as hemocoel. All the sinuses present in the body of prawn ultimately open into pair of ventral sinuses that present beneath the hepatopancreas gland. Remember, very very important. So along the length of the body, many sinuses, empty spaces are there, but blood filled spaces are there, but all that spaces ultimately connected with two major sinuses. They are ventral sinuses. Two ventral sinuses we found that present beneath the hepatopancreas gland. Ultimately the blood enter into that ventral sinus. So last and final part, they are blood channels. Already we discussed about this in respiratory system. Blood channels are nothing but they are blood flowing tubes. They are spaces. These are also called lacunar tubes. They are not blood vessels because they lack what? Wall. Without walls, they filled with blood and blood circulate in them. They are blood filled tubes without walls. They call blood channels. There are two types. So the first one is afferent branchial channel, and 6 afferent branchial channels are present. 6 efferent branchial channels are present. Already we learned in respiratory system afferent and efferent branchial channels. The afferent branchial channels transport deoxygenated blood to gills. Efferent branchial channels collects efferent branchial channels collects oxygenated blood from gills. All these things we learned in respiratory system. Yes, let us see the final event in circulatory system, that is core of circulation, mechanism of circulation in the circulatory system. Let's see, this is the first point, that is heart. The heart is pumping organ. From here the blood pumping starts. The heart pumps the oxygenated blood. Actually it receives oxygenated blood from its pericardium through ostia. So the heart pumps the oxygenated blood through 6 major arteries, and then the arteries supplies oxygenated blood to all body parts. They are appendages and as well as visceral organs, everything. So the oxygenated blood going to supply to all the appendages and visceral organs to arteries, and after that the blood become deoxygenated. Now the deoxygenated blood collected into sinuses. Okay, so many sinuses are there. From all sinuses, the deoxygenated blood collected into two main ventral sinuses, follow, that present below the hepatopancreas, and from ventral sinus the deoxygenated blood received into afferent branchial channels. Okay, from afferent branchial channels through the longitudinal channels they enter into gill plates, and enter into gill plates they undergoes purification, receives oxygen, and exchange of respiratory gases takes place under gills. After that the blood receives oxygen and get oxygenated blood, and such oxygenated blood collected from the gills by efferent branchial channels. Such oxygenated blood from efferent branchial channel dumped into pericardial sinus that present around the heart, followed. So from pericardial sinus it discharged into heart cavity. Alright. Yes, students, this is core of blood circulation in blood vascular system of the prawn. You have to start it from heart. Sequentially, arrow marks are there in this flow chart, and the oxygenated blood from heart sequentially moves in what vessels and reaches where, and ultimately in what way it enter in the heart. So that is very important. So you have to present this entire flow chart in examination must. So oxygenated blood from the heart through the artery supplies to all the body parts, then deoxygenated blood collected into sinuses, and then from the sinuses the deoxygenated blood enter into ventral sinuses. From the ventral sinuses again they collected into afferent branchial channels, and they transport such deoxygenated blood to gills. There it will undergo purification, and after purification the oxygenated blood from the gills collected by efferent branchial channels. The efferent branchial channels, from efferent branchial channel the blood pumped into pericardium, and from the pericardium through the ostia it enter into the cavity of the heart, chamber of the heart, and the same core of circulation repeated vice versa. So that is mechanism of circulation in the circulatory system of the prawn. I think you got a better idea through this flow chart. Yes, with this we completed circulatory system of the prawn, and in next session we are going to discuss about excretory system of the prawn. Okay, bye.